Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So I don't even know where to start. I debated for a hot second there to talk about this first before we talked about anything else, because it's just that weirdo to me with everything that's going on. So let's talk real quick about what is going on. So we're going to be diving into this very hot topic that's going around about workplace safety in the U.S. So I don't know if you've heard this, but there is a thing now called the HR 86. It's the NOSHA Act. Yeah, NOSHA Act. So what does that mean? This is known to nullify Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or NOSHA Act. So what is HR 86? Introduced by Representative Andy Biggs from Arizona on January the 3rd of 2025, the bill proposes repealing the Occupational Safety and Health Act of the 1970 and abolish the Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, currently referred to as the House Committee on Education and the Workforce for Review. So what would this mean? Let's talk about this, because you know that this is an entity that we talk about quite often, but let's get into it. If it is passed, HR 86 would eliminate OSHA altogether, the federal agency responsible for workplace safety regulations, inspections, and enforcement. The argument behind the bill is that OSHA imposes unnecessary burdens on businesses, while the critics argue that removing OSHA would put millions of workers at risk. So, you know, it's going to be kind of an interesting one as we're taking a look at this. So let's think about this real quick. Think about how we talk about that OSHA is like minimum standards on what we talk about. This is where you should be, even though, you know, you have some potential growth there. So how would this work? How would this whole thing happen? Who would be wanting to repeal this? So take a listen. Arguments for repealing OSHA supporting the HR 86. Less regulation for businesses, companies, especially small businesses, wouldn't have to deal with OSHA fines and complex compliance rules. Stated industry control. Workplace safety would be managed by the state level or private industry initiatives instead of federal mandates. Boost to economic growth. Reduced federal oversight might lower the cost for businesses and potentially leading to job growth. Government reduction. Supporters see OSHA as an unnecessary bureaucracy that could be eliminated to reduce taxpayer funding and regulatory cost. So what does this mean? When you look at it and you go arguments against repealing OSHA opposing the HR 86, this is what this would mean. Workplace safety at risk. OSHA was created to reduce workplace fatalities and injuries. Removing it could lead to the rise of unsafe conditions. Lack of employer accountability. Without OSHA, some employers might cut corners, prioritizing profits over worker safety. Now, let's be realistic. Let's not like that does not happen already, but we'll continue on. State laws might be weaker. A patchwork of state regulations could lead to inconsistencies in workplace protection. Also, long-term costs could increase while OSHA compliance costs businesses money. Workplaces accidents without oversight could lead to higher workers' compensation claims and lawsuits. So, when you look at this whole thing, does it make sense to you to abolish it? Or do you look at it and go, I don't think this is the time to talk about this? So, if we start taking a look and go, what is the likelihood of this happening? Well, the bill will face several challenges. So, political climate. The House Majority stance on on labor laws will be key, even if passing through the House of the Senate is a bigger hurdle. Industry and labor opposition workers, advocacy groups, labor unions, and public health experts are likely to fight against it. Also, public opinion, most Americans support workplace safety protections, making it politically risky for some lawmakers to back this bill. I look at this and I go, I don't understand why you would want to push this. Because if you remove the whole compliance sector, and keep in mind that we're talking lower than most, what OSHA requires, at least some people will go, okay, we can do a little bit better, and that's entirely up to them. But that there's some people that think, oh, OSHA has high standards when it comes to certain things. So I don't know. So as for now, the H.R. 86 is in the early stage of the legislative process. So let's make sure that we're clear there. And it remains unclear whether it will gain traction and stall. So I don't know. Will it stall in the committees? Who knows? So let's talk about what you think about this. Would eliminating OSHA be the step towards business freedom or disaster waiting to happen? You can hit us up on our social medias at Safety FM, Rated R Safety Show, or definitely on Radio Big. Or you can email us directly at info@safetyfm, or let us know your thoughts, in regards of what's going on. Let me reference just one more thing for additional context. The information that we're covering here is noteworthy. Representative Andy Biggs, the sponsor of the H.R. 86, has been vocal about his reasons for introducing the bill. He criticizes that OSHA is an example of federal overreach, describing it as a bloated federal government entity that imposes unnecessary regulations of businesses. Biggs argues that dismantling OSHA would reduce government interference in the private sector, potentially fostering a more business-friendly environment. The perspective aligns with the broader argument in favor of repealing OSHA, emphasizing reduced regulatory burdens and increased economic freedom for businesses. However, it also intensifies the debate about whether the balance between deregulation and maintaining essential protection for workers. So, if you want to look at a more in-depth look at this, Representative Biggs' statements and the other context, you can read a full article about this at Law and Crime. Yeah. What an interesting time. What do you think will happen? If OSHA goes away, what do you think will happen inside of your workplace? That's going to be something to really give some consideration to. That's for sure.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.